the same kid from Atlanta who turned a country trap song recorded on a $30 beat into one of the most played songs in the history of American music. And then last August, everything stopped. The world watched in shock as Lil Nas X was arrested on a Los Angeles street in nothing but white briefs and cowboy boots, taken to a hospital, then booked into jail on 4 felony counts. For nearly 10 months after that moment, he stayed quiet. On June 17, 2026, Montero broke that silence. He posted a nearly 3-minute video to his Instagram, speaking directly to his fans for the first time since everything collapsed. And he shared in those 3 minutes not a carefully managed comeback narrative rehearsed with publicists. And he said something that stopped a lot of people cold. Something was wrong for years, but refused to accept it because he did not want to take medication and did not want the world to see him differently. It started in the early morning hours of August 21, 2025, on Ventura Boulevard in the Studio City neighborhood of Los Angeles. At approximately 5:30 in the morning, residents in the area called 911 to report a man walking in traffic. The calls described a nearly naked individual moving through a busy boulevard, visibly in distress. When LAPD officers arrived at the scene, they found Montero Lamar Hill, one of the most recognizable names in music, walking down the street wearing only white underwear and white cowboy boots. What happened next became the subject of a criminal complaint. According to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, when officers approached and attempted to intervene, Hill became combative. Authorities allege he charged directly at the responding officers. The confrontation resulted in injuries to 3 police officers. One officer was allegedly punched in the face. Criminal complaint was filed listing 3 counts of battery with injury on a police officer and 1 count of resisting an executive officer. All 4 charges classified as felonies. Hill was arrested, taken briefly to a hospital for evaluation after authorities suspected a possible overdose, and then booked into custody. As a condition of that release, he was required to attend drug treatment. Hill was arrested, taken briefly to a hospital for evaluation after authorities suspected a possible overdose, and then booked into custody. He spent 3 days in jail before being released on $75,000 bail. As a condition of that release, he was required to attend drug treatment. Photos and videos circulated widely on social media in the hours after his arrest. The footage showed the moments before the police confrontation. Montero walking through traffic, clearly not in a normal state of mind. For many fans who had watched his social media in the weeks leading up to that night, the footage was disturbing, but not entirely surprising. People close to the situation and fans online had already noticed that his social media activity in the period before the arrest had grown erratic and out of character. Something had been building. That night was where it broke. Stafford, a 56-year-old gospel singer, gave an interview to the UK's Sunday Times, in which he addressed what had happened to his son. His words carried the weight of a parent who had watched his child get swallowed by something bigger than either of them could fully see coming. Stafford spoke about the nature of fame and the kind of psychological pressure it creates. He described the music business as something like a substance itself. He told the outlet that reaching the heights his son had reached creates its own kind of addiction, that once an artist experiences that level of success, they chase it. The highs get harder to replicate. The pressure to maintain them becomes crushing. And when someone is already carrying undiagnosed mental health conditions on top of that, the weight becomes unsustainable. He also addressed the public directly, noting that breakdowns happen to people at every level of life, that they are human experiences, that when they happen to someone who is also a global celebrity, the scrutiny and the judgment that pile on top of an already devastating personal moment make everything exponentially harder. Stafford also revealed something significant in his interview, that Montero had long been a primary financial provider for people around him, which created its own particular kind of pressure. The expectations placed on him were not just artistic. They were financial. They were familial, carrying all of that, while also navigating mental health challenges that had not yet been named or treated, left him in a genuinely fragile position, even when the outside world only saw the confident, provocative, chart-dominating version of him. Shortly after his release on bail, Montero voluntarily admitted himself to an inpatient treatment facility. Specifically, according to reporting from Beta and confirmed by court documents cited in multiple outlets, he entered the Meadows, a well-known treatment center located in Arizona, where he completed nearly 2 months of inpatient care. Fact that he had sought treatment on his own immediately, without being forced into it, mattered in how his case was ultimately handled. This was not court-ordered at that stage. His defense attorney, Christy O'Connor, later presented evidence of this voluntary admission to the court as a significant factor in the legal proceedings that followed. The fact that he had sought treatment on his own immediately, without being forced into it, mattered in how his case was ultimately handled. For the better part of the fall and winter of 2025 and into 2026, Montero stayed almost entirely out of public life. He did not release music. He did not give interviews. He posted occasionally, but kept his distance from the kind of constant, high-energy social media presence that had been his trademark for years. He was, by his own account that would come months later, doing the work, learning about himself, working with professionals, and trying to stabilize his life after one of the most public and devastating moments any young artist can experience. He appeared in court in Los Angeles on March 12, 2026, a date confirmed by multiple news outlets, including The Washington Post and ABC News, for a preliminary hearing related to the 4 felony charges. Photographs from that court appearance showed him dressed conservatively, looking composed, surrounded by his legal team. Then came the development that changed the trajectory of everything. In April 2026, Judge Alan Schneider presided over a hearing in Lil Nas X's case and made a ruling that became major national news. The judge granted Montero entry into a mental health diversion program. This is a specific legal mechanism in California that allows individuals whose alleged criminal conduct is directly connected to a diagnosable mental health condition to pursue treatment instead of traditional prosecution. Judge Schneider's ruling was specific and grounded. According to reporting from BET, the judge found that Montero's conduct during his August 2025 arrest was aberrant from his normal conduct, meaning it was not who he was as a person or how he normally behaved. The judge further found that the incident was directly linked to his bipolar disorder diagnosis, which had been established through his treatment at the Meadows and his ongoing psychiatric care. FUD. The court concluded that structured treatment was more appropriate than criminal prosecution given those circumstances. The terms of the diversion program are significant. Montero must comply with a court-approved mental health treatment plan. He must remain law-abiding for a period of 2 years. He must refrain from possessing weapons or making threats of violence for the duration. If he successfully meets every condition, all 4 felony counts against him, 3 counts of battery with injury on a police officer and 1 count of resisting an executive officer, will be dismissed entirely. Deputy District Attorney Jody Teixeira was present at the hearing. According to reporting from Law Commentary, Teixeira did not oppose the diversion outcome. She acknowledged the resolution informally outside the courtroom and reportedly expressed a simple hope that Montero would not return to court for anything other than celebrating his career. When Montero walked out of the courthouse after that ruling, he spoke briefly to reporters. His words were short, but they said everything. It could have been much worse. I'm here, baby. On Wednesday, June 17th, 2026.
Good spirit. He's all right. He's very remorseful for what happened.
Montero Lamar Hill sat down and recorded a video. He posted it to Instagram. It ran for nearly 3 minutes. And by any honest measure, it is one of the most significant pieces of public communication he has ever put out. Not because it was polished, But because it was not. He starts the video by telling his fans where he has been. His words, reported by multiple outlets, including Complex and Rolling Stone, are direct. He says he has been in rehab for a few months, and that since leaving, he has split his time between Atlanta, where his family lives, and Los Angeles. He says he has been trying to ground himself, trying to get out of his own head, trying to reconnect with what is real. Then he talks about his medical situation. He tells viewers that he now has a therapist and a psychiatrist, and that working with both of them has been genuinely helpful. And then he gets to the part that cuts straight through to people watching. He talks about his bipolar disorder diagnosis. He says, and this is drawn from Variety's reporting of his direct words, that when he received the diagnosis, he felt as though he had already known for years. He points out that he is already navigating life as a Black man and as a gay man, and that adding a bipolar disorder diagnosis on top of both of those things means he is, as he puts it, living life on extreme hard mode. He says it with a lightness that makes the weight of it land harder, not softer. And then he shifts. He becomes direct and clear. He says he is doing much better. He says he is feeling better. He says he is creating freely. He says there is less fear in his heart.
When I got my bipolar disorder diagnosis, I feel like I had known for like the past few years, but...
He talks about smelling the roses. He reflects on the fact that he has been making music for 7 years now and says that alone is something worth sitting with and appreciating. He closes with music. He tells his fans that new music is coming. He does not give a timeline. He says he is not ready to get fully into it yet, but he is excited. He says he is excited to go on this next chapter with them. To understand the weight of what Montero shared on June 17th, you have to understand who he is and what he has already survived. Montero Lamar Hill was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on April 9, 1999. He grew up in Lithia Springs, a suburb southwest of the city, in a household marked by instability. His parents separated when he was 6. He was largely raised by his grandmother, Tuwad. He has spoken openly in past interviews about the difficulties of his childhood and the isolation he felt growing up, particularly around his sexuality, which he kept hidden from most people in his life for years. He discovered the internet early and used it obsessively. He was known online years before he was known as a musician, building a following through meme accounts and social media humor that showed an instinctive, almost surgical understanding of how attention moves on the internet.